we've reached that weird part of the dynasty year when you look at 2025 picks and you're like, wait a second.
Weird.
That's the next year of picks. That's the new 2024. And so then all of a sudden we're like, oh, we have to start trading these, or now we have to start acquiring these. And so let's walk you through what you should actually be doing about 25 picks at this moment in time. And the first thing I'm going to say about 2025 is this class is already being labeled as a weak class. And I think there's probably some merit to it because when you're talking about from a super flex perspective, you're talking about next year's quarterback class. There is a decent chance that next year's quarterback one is Shedeur Sanders. And
who could be good, could be not. Maybe he stays. Maybe he makes more money in college. I
mean, if you score dynasty points for dunking on people on Twitter, then maybe he's going to be productive. But like,
he's got a really good arm.
But he's very I know he's very gifted. I'm very well aware of how gifted he is. But at the same time, him as the quarterback one, woof. Okay, so I get it. But the other positions in the 2025 class, you've got Quinshon Judkins that could be relevant, as well as Travion Henderson. I mean, same team there. Evan Stewart, Emeka Egbuka, Tez Johnson.
Egbuka.
Yeah. And so there are some guys. I mean, you could even say Travis Hunter is somebody that could come in next year, depending on what position he comes out as.
He'll probably be overdrafted just because of his name, honestly.
Yeah, and he could. I mean, who knows? He could end up being a corner.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are some talented names, regardless of whether you want to say that's really good or that's really bad, because I don't know if it's good or bad or whatever, because I'm not an NFL scout. But what I do know is that from a dynasty fantasy football perspective, every year we have the next best class, or sometimes we have the next worst class. Remember what our last next worst class was? 2022. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, 2022, this class is so bad, there's nobody in it, blah, blah, blah.
And in fairness...
And granted...
It wasn't that great.
But do you remember what the main position that there was almost no talent at in that draft was from a dynasty perspective?
Pre-draft or post-draft?
Both.
Quarterback. Obviously.
Quarterback was the big one, right? Yeah. Because Kenny Pickett was the quarterback one. It was Malik Willis, but then Kenny Pickett was the first quarterback of the board.
But Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell, and Brock Purdy, who wasn't even being drafted, they all ended up being fantasy relevant and had value.
Yeah,
at some
they're
point.
Not anymore. That was a bad quarterback class for dynasty. Bad. You have no like top 15, top 20 guys from that class now. Oh well, Purdy is the one exception, but he wasn't even being drafted, so it doesn't even matter.
He was a waiver guy.
He was a waiver guy. So what you'll notice about that class though is you had guys like Garrett Wilson, Drake London, Chris Olave.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure James Cook was in that class, right?
Yep.
He's dynasty relevant now.
Brees
Rashad
Hall,
White was in that class.
Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker. Man, so there were good running backs and a lot of good receivers in that class. Yeah.
So what my early warning to you is don't let people's opinion of next year's class kind of settle in as like, okay, next year's class doesn't matter, so I'm going to trade my 25 firsts away, which brings us to our first point about what you should be doing with your 25 picks, or in this case, what you should not be doing.
Don't sell them. Please do not sell them.
Unless it's a steal.
For the most part, please do not steal your... Please do not steal. Don't steal your own 25 first.
That's Nick Cage stuff. Make a movie out of it.
Yeah. Don't sell your 25 first when you can... when you can help it. But look, I think one of the most important things here to know because of that is because what do we know, regardless of the depth or the strength or the weaknesses of the class, what do we know will inevitably happen with those 25 firsts?
Tick, 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 tick,
they
tick,
will
tick.
increase in value
ever so
the
steadily
closer you get to the
will.
NFL draft. And what happens every single year, guys, I promise you, I promise, I do not, it does not matter what the narrative of the 2025 NFL rookie class is going into next season. It doesn't matter because the dynasty community always gets tunnel vision with rookies and prospects, and they become higher on assets, young rookies than they really should be. It happens every single year for the good classes, for the bad classes, for the not so good classes, for the better classes. It always happens. So you can exploit that. You can use that to your advantage if you hold your 25 rookie picks now and wait until the beginning of next year. You absolutely can. And here's the thing too. We think that the quarterback class is going to be weak right now. There's just as good a chance that it could be solid as it could also be bad. Because we were looking ahead to 2024 and 2023 and saying like, hey,
we got Caleb.
2024, we've got Caleb and May. Who else do we really have after that?
But even then with May, we were like, yeah.
What would we have done if Daniels as a 23-year-old didn't come storming into relevancy? Bo Nix, relevancy. Michael Penix, relevancy. 3 23-year-olds. McCarthy, honestly, kind of coming out of nowhere.
Really, out of
All
his
4 of
draft
those
stock?
guys. There was no guarantee that this was going to be a loaded quarterback class, just like there's no guarantee next year. Now, maybe do we suspect that potentially the NFL knows some things that we don't, and that's one of the reasons why 6 quarterbacks went in the first round this year, because maybe it is that week next year. That's a possibility. But I'm not going to put my money on that. I'm going to put my money on knowing for a fact that the 2025 rookie picks will inevitably increase in value regardless of the strength of the position at quarterback, specifically in Superflex leagues.
So it's funny you say that, because with 25 first, you actually, from April 25th to now, you've seen a slight decrease in their value, because again, people have started to look ahead and they're like, oh, the narrative is bad. I don't like these anymore.
Well, there's also, I always think there might, correct me if I'm wrong, there is generally a trend where the closer you get to this year's draft, like 2024, there's an increase in value for the future picks like 2025.
Right here.
And then it goes back down once people start thinking about 2024 regular season production points, and they forget
Luke,
about
just put
the rookies.
all-time dynasty value graph up is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But
So that's another thing that I wanted to note here too, is once people start, because once everyone in Dynasty starts looking ahead towards the next year, that generally means that it's not a phenomenal value that you're getting those picks for. So this is the time where you can start, especially as a hard rebuild, start targeting 2026 first.
Or as somebody, or even, I mean, I also think it's not a bad idea to buy 25 first right now, because again, people shouldn't be selling them, but if people are selling them, people don't know if their teams are contenders or rebuild. The people buying also don't know that as well. So you could say, I'm buying this late first. That late first could be an early first. So, like, if you're down tiering right now, we talked about down tiering from, for example, Jaden Daniels to Drake May, and you're getting a 25 first. That could be, you don't know where that first is going to be, and neither does the person that's running that team. I mean, we're not even close to the NFL season yet. But with them decreasing right now, like, I think on the flip side of that, like, if you're not trading 25 first away, and we don't want you to do that, naturally, if somebody is trading their 25 first away, I think it's a good idea to hold on to them, and I think 26 first as well. But every year, you kind of see with the future first, there's always just it's like a tier, and it goes up a tier, goes up a tier. What time of the year does that happen? You see it right here. Where is this? Think about it. It's pretty self-explanatory.
January
was here. So
wow.
That was the second little dip. The big dip though came.
It's the start of the regular season. When people start targeting future picks when they know that they're a rebuild. When reality sets in and you know, oh wait, I'm actually not contending.
Like you're talking about like a 20% increase in value at the start of the regular season. So I would be holding your 25 first. Number one, at least until then, if you're going to move your future first to contend, which I think you can contend without doing that, and we've seen that. And if you have that good of a team, the return you're going to get for trading a first and like the advantage it will give you in trying to win a championship from an odds perspective, it's not that big of a jump. So sometimes we advocate against that. But if you do want to go all in and trade that, you're definitely not doing it until after the season starts. Because again, we've talked about this a lot. If you're going to trade your 25 first for a proven veteran that's producing, do it for a veteran you know is going to produce. Because like you're not going to go and buy Devontae Adams with your 25 first right now, which would be a bad trade anyways from a value perspective. And then Devontae Adams
it's not that far off still.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. But still, you're not going to go buy Devontae Adams. What if Devontae Adams doesn't do anything next year? Like you can wait and hold and be like, oh, here's this veteran, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's ended up being way better than expected. If he's back up to 16, 17 points per game, I can spend my 25 first on getting him and I can get the ship. Like, and again, we're not recommending you do that, but if you're going to make the trade if you're going to trade away your 25 first, you're doing it after the season starts from a value perspective and from the perspective that you can pick the contending asset that you want to get with that 25 first, if you even need that contending asset. So
yeah, and this is a huge strategy point that we consistently make for you guys watching this channel and for our supporters over at flockfantasy.com/domain. And if you want that strategic feedback and you want like a super cool thing called a team blueprint, which is a customizable review of your personalized team. You can get that over at flockfantasy.com/domain. You have to use code domain and you have to sign up for the Mother Flocker tier. You get one free blueprint at sign up and you can slide into our DMs. You can ask us follow-up questions about the blueprint that we did for you. You also get access to all of our exclusives, our rankings, our videos, our articles, all that jazz. Super, super worth your time. A very, very crazy growing community for sure. It's growing at a very high rate right now, and it's definitely worth
more
it.
than 500 people that play Dynasty over there.
Yeah, for sure. And some of that strategy that I'm kind of thinking of right now, as we get really into the nitty gritty in the off season, because we're post NFL draft, we now know all the landing spots with the rookies, so they're probably going to stop increasing in value like they were pre-draft. One of the things that you can do is exploit the mindset of your league mates that believe they're contending now in May. That's a huge, huge thing, because think about a team last year who had Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, Matt Stafford, and maybe a Kenny Pickett as kind of a bridge core, or a Russell Wilson. A team that just had a bunch of really decent, productive assets that they knew were probably going to go help them win their league. And guess what? It ended up putting them close to last place. Look at those situations and don't predict the injury, don't predict the decrease in production, but look at those teams that are contending heavy, the teams that are forced to contend, and take advantage of that in your negotiations. Say, hey, man, I know you're looking to push or to make a push for one more year. I know you're going to be able to do it. And in fairness to them, maybe they will be able to. Maybe they will. And generally, it's a pretty mutually beneficial deal. But you can, as a one-year reload, as a hard rebuild, as a future value team, even as a wide receiver factory or a well-rounded team, just get the value insulation, accumulate more value, spread out your value among proven assets, among cornerstone assets, among future assets and rookie picks, and go exploit those league mate strategy right now in May. Because I can't tell you how many times people have told me, like, hey, this is what I've got now after the rookie draft. At the end of the rookie draft, these are the players that I'm locked down with. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not stuck with the players that you drafted in April or at the beginning of May. We have 3 months left before the season. There is plenty of time left for negotiation. This is when legends are made in Dynasty Fantasy Football. This is when you accumulate value the most. Yeah, I know.
Real corny.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I really tried to think of something else and it just came out and it was really bad. But this seriously is, this is when you build a dynasty. There you go. This is when dynasties are made. Like, this is better. You take advantage. You take advantage now. What?
Nothing. 6 out of 10. Like, it was better. Like the other one was like a 3.
I don't know why Legends came out. I should have said Dynasties.
I don't know. You think we lost subscribers because of that?
We may have. We may have. Sorry.
I love our channel. Anyways, ignore that.
No, but it's true.
It is true. It is true. This is the
it's
time.
Corny,
this is
true.
the time to. Oh man, I thought you said something else. This is the time to make trades in Dynasty Fantasy Football. Like, hands down. Period. That's why we're telling people to come get blueprints, because we're like trade. I've been making trades even this week that I'm like, oh, I got a bunch of small value wins today. I really like that. And right now, 25 rookie picks. I have people asking me that are flock supporters, that are our supporters, domain supporters. I should have said that. Are like, hey, should I make this trade? I'd be sending my 25 first. And I'm like, I wouldn't be trading your 25 first unless it's a steal. I'm telling that to people constantly.
Unless it's a steal.
That's the asterisk to everything we say on this channel. So with that being said, 25 first. Again, the main takeaways from this video. Number one, don't label this as a weak class or a down year or whatever, because it's probably not going to be as much of a down year as you think it's going to be. Number two, don't be selling them. Don't be selling your picks right now. They just lost a little bit of value, and they're going to increase in value by 20 or more % come the start of the regular season at the beginning of September. So you should at least be holding until then. Number three, if there are league mates that are willing to sell you 25 first, I would be accumulating them at a very high rate, because they are assets that, regardless of what happened during the summer, during the training camp headlines, during whatever, they are assets that are guaranteed to increase in value. You see this every year. And again, we're going to see it in September of this year. 25 first are now, they're assets that people are kind of, usually it means they're more excited, but this year they're kind of just dismissing them because people are like, oh, that class was great. This next class sucks. But here's the thing. They don't know any better than Nathan and I, like, unless it's like the 2% of absolute like giga nerds that are like really invested in like the 25 class, like nobody knows yet. Also, there's a whole college football season to play out, and with NIL and the transfer portal and all that, like who knows who's going to show out next year. So
So
Legends.
Legends.
So hold your 25 picks
Dynasties.
is kind of the thing. But 25's coming. That's the next rookie draft we have. It kind of stinks that we're a year away from our next draft. But
I know, but we're that much closer to the start of the NFL season.
All right, make sure you drop a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football. Appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.